come through, as you rightfully said. So now TT, they won't get themselves that Ashe Braum, and now they might be afraid to lock in something like a Leona, because the Ashe Braum is very good at that too, so that would remove another engaged threat for Feather.
See who gets their hands on the Lucian sticks first. It's going to be Ucal's turn. So we have our first fighter up there in the mid lane. It is our premier matchup here, and that mid lane priority is oh so important. I expect there to be a big answer here in this first phase for Angel on the other side, but now maybe a little bit of setup for that jungle matchup. If you know what maybe you expect coming, maybe you do go for something along those lines, but we also have seen prevalence of those engaged supports or things to set you up, and right now they're going to go with that. TT, get the Braum.
You break up the Ashe Braum duo, which is so strong, so that makes a lot of sense. OMG, they pass up the Rengar. Maybe they don't want to have the Rengar jumping into the Braum, but it is a rare day when Tianzhen is not banned in terms of his Rengar, and he doesn't pick it as well. Technically, this is a flex pick. It is worth noting that's a flex pick, but I think all the same, TT, if they're afraid of the Rengar at all now, they can ban that away. But for me, I think it makes a lot of sense, and with the priorities we've seen recently from OMG, they probably are just going to throw that straight in towards the jungle instead of having that Rengar.
Do love to see the Lucian and Zeri matchup as foretold going through, but the Renekton will be blind for Hoya, and I honestly have been really appreciative of how confident our top laners have been in blinding this pick, but you do also have to execute.
And that execution is going to be very, very key, regardless of the draft, of course, and we'll get through into that. As we see in the early game, both these teams really strive when they're ahead, so having stuff like early laners like the Renekton, of course the Braum even without that, the AD carry locked in alongside them, the Lucian, very, very powerful for TT. I do think as soon as you hit level 6, though, OMG with the Zeri ult, the first one of the game, the first Ashe ult, the first Maokai ult, going to be very, very powerful. So OMG kind of biding their time a little bit, maybe waiting for just a few levels in the game to pass before they start turning on the afterburners.
Yo, I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling it too early. I don't know. I'm feeling like maybe the Flexi is coming through. We'll see what the bans are going to be, as it is a little bit more of the focus towards jungle for OMG, trying to take away some of those big AP pieces. A little slight smile on a couple of the members of OMG. We'll see the final ban here for them, as it is the Gnar. So TT fully focused on what that top lane matchup, and fully believing the Maokai is going to be in jungle.
So Shimada bans. We don't have to have that conversation right
Yay!
now. I wonder whether Beichuan needs to go towards something with a little bit more engage, or whether they just say, right, we've got strong early lanes, we've got setup in a Renekton and a Braum potentially, let's go towards the Nidalee. Nidalee would be an AP jungle threat, and Beichuan has played some amount of it with the other bans on the table. That wouldn't be awful. Does mean your team fighting will get, again, quite difficult in the way that Nidalee does, but I wonder if that will go through that. Instead, hovering over something completely different, this would be first Ivan for Beichuan in summer so far, and we don't see that much of it in the LPL. It's not so much a lot of LPL junglers have gone towards. Very different here.
And it goes away a little bit of what we were seeing from them in terms of that early access, but it's the Seraphine locked in for OMG now as well, so we're having serious team fight implications. That Maokai will be slotted in the jungle as Cassante is the choice into that blind Renekton. OMG, they are looking to 5-on-5 here.
And that is the first Seraphine we will see in the LPL in this summer. We haven't seen this pick for a long time. It has been played in the LCK. It's been played in both, particularly in mid and in the AP carry role, and then also in that support. This time it will be likely towards that support alongside that Ashe. And 1xN finishes off that draft with the Smolder. So now we have two last pick champions in the Seraphine and the Smolder, which is going to layer this all over big team fights. TT, they give up a little of that bot lane pressure because they go towards that Smolder with the Braum, but the Braum is just making sure that you don't get dove on that bot side. But luckily for them, you look at the Maokai, look at the Seraphine, it's not the easiest dive from OMG. And what we saw in earlier games in Knights Rivals, what we saw this from IG and Arn picking it up, is that if you don't get dove on the Smolder does eventually take over the game. So TT, they've got themselves a bit of a baton pass system going through. Very topical with the Olympics coming through as well in recent weeks. You have the early game lanes and this top side of the Renekton and the Lucian, which will eventually hand over the baton to the Smolder in that late game. Will it be enough versus the Maokai, versus the Seraphine and the Zeri Ashe? These are all good scaling picks in themselves. We are yet to see. Maybe the Ivan will be able to buff up that little dragon in the way that they need to. Very, very different take on this series meta from the first time we saw these teams go through.
Who's going to get dunked on first is the idea we have to look for here in game number 1. But in all reality, there is only one that can rise to join the other teams in the race for the Silver Dragon Cup, and there is only one spot left. Somebody from Group Nirvana has to claim it. Our 10th seed in those summer playoffs on the line. Will it be TT for their second time ever, or will OMG continue their legacy and go for a 14th time? It is a best of 5 to decide if these teams are still in 2024 or not, and we're getting into game 1. It's OMG versus TT. I was a little spoiled that first night, you know, with the guy yelling, but man, we got some energy in there tonight. OMG looking for a level 1. Any advantage here might just set them up so well. They aren't going to actually find anything there. So the ward and the Winter's Bite going to dissuade them.
You do have, of course, the Seraphine double cast stacked up, of course, early on into the game here, which can be potentially very powerful.
Oh,
that's nice from one extent.
That's a lot of stacks.
Really nice. He actually gets to sell 3 stacks of that level 1, and because OMG aren't going to be able to recall, there is actually a chance that 1x and Feather could use that because it hits both bot laners to do a decent amount. Ppgod got, I think, hit by the splash damage of everything. They still have a Braum. There is every chance that they go towards that Braum pass early as well. I think that OMG might have overstayed here.
You're on a ward. You're on a ward. Oh, no. Oh, they're going to follow it up. Concussive blows, too. Going to end up connecting TT. Getting so many stacks. 6 already for 1xN just before they even get into lane.
That's a big problem there, Bizel. That is not how you win a lane versus a smaller Braum. Now, normally, you don't really have to worry about winning a lane against a smaller Braum because they're not meant to be that powerful offensive duo. They are meant to be there to survive the early lanes, be undiveable, and allow the Smolder to scale up into the game. Already, that could be a bit of an issue for OMG. That bot lane was meant to be a point of presence for them, and now TT, maybe they have some extra options with Beichuan, not having to worry about this bot lane and have to cover it as easily as in kind of a typical game you'd expect with these drafts.
I'm really curious how this 2v2 is going to go, though, because Ashe Seraphine can be so daggone oppressive. First of all, you get the root proc off the slow from Ashe anyways, but it is just something where you're going to take all this poke all the time, and you can't really do anything about it. And Braum's going to have a little bit of a difficulty to get onto them. But once they do, we'll see how that works out for them. But now, I also want to check out something we said earlier on in the happiness from Nymeara on the draft. Last time you were not very happy with OMG's draft style. So far, how are we doing? Game 1.
Okay, so it's not the stepping engage from Tianjin, but you do have the Asher and you do have Seraphine Marco to follow up. So in terms of OMG's ability to pull the trigger and just go hell for leather into the team fights, I'm happier with that identity of a team fight. Now, of course, that's different now with this early game because you have to worry about the Smolder potentially a little more. This is the last time that the Seraphine was played on the bottom of the screen. FX was to BLG still a little bit earlier in the year from life. But yeah, OMG, they do have some go buttons. It's not from Tianjin, which is normally where we've expected it. And in fairness to OMG, if you want to try something a little bit different, if you want to play something a little bit like the Seraphine, which we haven't seen that much here in the LPL at all. It has been completely absent from Summer so far, but it has been played by teams, particularly like KT Rolster, that can be potentially powerful. Might have a gank on the top side.
Oh, does end up getting it. Both going to go for it. Hery does have the dash and the shield, though. And maybe a little bit more damage. Okay, Beichuan didn't have the ranged attacks up there to follow up.
Yeah, Beichuan. Oh, you know, there was that change to Ivan where it's just the extra damage he gets from standing in the brush now. He does get the ranged attacks just from randomly walking around, but it's just gets all that damage. Is really, really nasty. Sometimes I forget about that because Ivan's been in and out of the meta, but for those of you have seen this about the place, he's been a bit of a menace actually. Now he has a lot more damage, and of course Daisy, of course, is going to be weirdly a damage
so
later
annoying
into the game as well.
Yeah. I know we talked a little bit about what I said, some of the cool growth we've seen from him. It was really nice to see him come over from Joy Dream JDG, but I think Starry also on the other side deserves a lot of praise as a purely developmental OMG project. Been really cool to see, and now he's going to have a lot of onus on him to be the one catching people out with his Enchanted Crystal Arrows.
The Asher is so much to OMG, and that's going to be quite important to get them landing early as well. So, because eventually into this game, Beichuan is going to have a Mikhails. Right now he's in bot side just to make sure that no funny business is happening around this bot lane. People got quite low HP. They might not be going for funny business. They might be going for a full gank.
Oh, he's going to have to cleanse. Does have one more auto. Can't get in range as TT. So the bot lane losing the cleanse here of Starry.
It's, again, much more than you'd expect from this bot lane early on. Yes, there's a CS advantage for Starry and Ppgod. If they didn't have a CS advantage at least, that would be absolute alarms blaring across the rift. So I suppose at least they have that. You know, one extended feather now being able to get some good chunks onto Starry and Ppgod, keep themselves stacking up on the Smolder as well, who started with the W, so you don't get the Q stacks early, but with the amount of W hits on champions, you're not feeling particularly aggrieved by that in the early stacking department either. So now Starry, who is at the point of this kind of failure right now from OMG in the early game, but they haven't quite managed to get what they wanted out this TV2. We return to this question. Hit level 6, how much value can get out of those arrows before Beichuan gets himself something like a Mikhail's later into the game? You're still expecting a Moonstone and a Redemption, but eventually there will be a Mikhail's, whether that is first, second, or third item, depending on how much he values that. Can you get value out of your arrows before that team-wide cleanse will come through for the first person picked off?
I love the emphasis on all those go buttons for OMG, and as soon as they get level 6, I mean, even Ppgod's going to have a lot to say with the encores and things like that, but the follow-up damage is definitely going to be there. You have a lot of really good peel on TT's side. I mean, not only can you call Mom, which is always a safe bet, but you have, you know, the Glacial Fissure, things like that, the Daisy, as you were mentioning earlier, to try to stop a lot of that forward progress. Level 6s had been hit in mid lane, so Ucal just going to pop his. Couple gunslingers going at it there, but I think now we also have to think about the first grubs and dragon trades that are coming down, because Beichuan is already on this side and already starting this one up. Tianzhen is getting the dragon for OMG.
Yeah, so typically Dragon goes to the team who ends up getting the bot prio, and as much as Smolder and Braum have had an easier time of this early bot lane, it is still not going to be pushing out this lane and getting lane dominance or anything close to that. So Tianzhen gets himself an easy start on that dragon on the other side by kind of process elimination. Beichuan doesn't want to be on bottom side of the map with his bot lane pushed in, and he'll go to take the grubs up towards the top side, towards his more dominant solo laners, Ucal and Hoya, for this early game right now. And we'll see whether we'll get a trade of this. Typically, in the best of 5s we've seen over the weekend, we've seen the objectives be traded at the first part and then kind of flipped over because neither team wants to give the 2 dragons up or the 6 grubs. So it's kind of a bit of a handshake so far when it comes to the second round of spawns.
All right, I got a real serious conversation right now, Nymeara, and if I go too deep, if it's too far, let me know. What's up with the transition to getting all these boots first completed items now here in this day and age? Well, is that too deep? Is that too far? I don't know, man. Everybody's just looking at the shiny shoes recently.
So, you know when you go into a store and you see there's a limited time sale on various clothes or whatever, you're like, man, I should really get this before the sale wears off. Is this an S14 bottle? Right now, I'm just looking at these boots and saying, well, boots are getting nerfed soon. Maybe it's just a response to that, where all these players
flash sale, get all the boots you can.
This is the last time for me to get that really nice boots first back spike or whatever it is. So maybe that's it. But also turns out cooldown boots, particularly for the Ivan and the Smolder, really big points of power too. On a serious note, Smolder just wants as much easy cooldown reduction. Turns out cooldown boots are really good for that.
It's been really interesting to see. I always love those little minute adaptations we see with different patches. We saw the Lightning Crash use. We also saw the Culling use earlier. These two guys just going at it over and over again. Now, though, level 6s completed for Starry, Ppgod. OMG already being proactive, going for an invade here over onto Beichuan's jungle and taking away the blue.
So this is the point of how OMG needs to play around. You have all of your ults coming through. It's going to be important. Hoya doesn't have level 8 just now. Gets it off those minion kills, and Hery very much not enjoying this matchup up here on the top side in terms of the trades. At least getting himself some decent CS, but it really will be about TT respecting that first arrow of that game. First Mauer ult, which can set up for that too. There isn't really anyone who wants to be tanking that right now. I think Feather can do in the right position when he gets the shield up and he has that heal, but even then, he's not going to be particularly happy about the million years of CC that potentially could come through.
So we talked a little bit about the engage tools for OMG, some of the peel tools as well for TT. But it feels like we're going to start getting some map movement here to make things a little bit more spicy in mid lane. Both Feather and Ppgod doing exactly what we expect them to do and try to get out and influence the map as much as possible. Angel needs to be a little careful as TT were collapsing onto him. But I think both these teams very noticeably know what their win conditions are in terms of getting these items and getting these team fights under tow. And here's that combo. Cleanse used, Flash used, TT's bot lane under disrepair.
Yeah, so one thing there, ult traded now back into that mid lane. Angel getting some damage back. Ucal still has his culling.
Oh, culling's big. He didn't have the dash though in the end.
So trade on that mid lane. Worth noting as well, something that we haven't talked about in regards to the Seraphine and the Ashe. So the way that Seraphine's E works is that if you are hit by a single blop of it, you get that slow. And then if you get a second blop of it, it goes into a root. If they're already rooted, then it goes into a stun. It kind of keeps stacking up over time. Now, if they're already slowed in the first place, then it goes one step up that chain. So if Starry gets an auto attack onto a target, then of course the first E that hits from the Seraphine will also be that root as well. It's one of the reasons why you see a lot of Seraphines going towards Rylai's for that one item wonder to allow you to get real good value out of that single cast of the E, but that's why OneXL wanted the flashbacks there. Make sure you keep track of that later into the game and how many slows are stacked up for the Seraphine to get max value.
Starry, in a very awkward position down there. Giving a couple extra traded blows over to 1XN. He's doing a pretty fine job on the stack hit so far, 61. See if he can continue getting some trades in. Beichuan showing his face down here. Immediate flash out of Starry to get away from Mom's breath. Maybe a little bit of coffee in there as back will come through for TT.
Yeah, that's
I got him.
Right, you get one of them per No, you actually get more than one of them per
I get a lot. It's not. Somebody needs to stop me.
No, I think like occasionally you get the smolder mom, which is very much the mom who's been working the night shift and who really doesn't want to have to be woken up by the screaming kid in the morning. So hey, maybe someone out there can really relate to that on depending on your time zone watching out these games here. But that's an ultimate down from both those bot laners from TT, but the flash away from Starry could be very, very important. Also, arrow back up now. Starry gone back to base, coming out of Fog of War. This is an important point for the Ashe. There's every chance that that arrow can be coming out of Fog of War, so TT needs to be very careful when Starry is not showing where that arrow will be flown from.
I just think it's so difficult to walk up to this team unless you split them out. That's a big difference, but OMG have a lot of fight strength early here with some of their combinations at least. And it gets worse as time goes on too, but they will split the grubbies. So no Grub-ageddon for us, no battening down the hatches, but we also have the Dragon Timer coming up to refocus on because both junglers are going to be repositioning down that way. The trees are moving.
It is, of course, the Battle of Fangorn Forest matchup. We have Makai versus Ivan. Always a fun one to see that in terms of the role of our photosynthesizing friends. Good gold over the 1XN trade for those grubs. Dragon started already. TT didn't really want to walk into enemy-controlled territory. They still have a good ward here to spot out some of the approach from OMG, but they still need to be careful of this Ashe Hour. Starry can fire it out from this bot side.
OMG have everything. I mean, they could pull the triggers here. You're getting a move from Hoya, no TP. He TP'd to the lane and is just walking all the way down. Looks like OMG not feeling confident in the setup. They have a chance, and he doesn't get it. It's taken by 1XN. I love that you go for it, bud, but you are dead to rights. That was a solo queue play right there. I love to see that.
That is the Rengar player flashing towards a pretty bush in the river. I think I said the right Ivan Rengar. It's not the combination in this game. Flashes in, tries to stop that dragon being taken over from TT. Maybe saying, all right, really want to get a dragon stacking advantage for OMG before the smolder becomes a really, really big problem later on into the game. But giving a kill over to the Lucian is really not what you wanted. Sadly for Tianjin, doesn't get anything out of that. And that's going to be a big point of power now missed for OMG. At least they didn't use all of their ultimates on that. That would have left them in an even more vulnerable state.
Every time I see all their ultimates up and they're convening, I'm like, oh, you have to go in for that, right? But they're being reserved so far. Waiting to get some of those item spikes, especially the first one. Speaking of, we have the Moonstone already there for Beichuan. Also the Kraken Slayer completed for Ucal. The Locket, which we have seen a bit of difference in all the different builds we have for Maokai, back and forth over and over again, but the Locket is the choice this time for Tianjin.
Yeah, so not that much magic damage from TT. Sorry, from OMG rather, because they've gone towards that Locket on the Maokai. The Seraphine will bring some though, and that's what they will be banking on, I suppose, when it comes towards later and later into the game to see if Ppgod can get himself good CC, good extra value as well. Beichuan just here again to just make sure he can maintain this bot side. Maybe just look to push in this wave for his bot lane.
As much skirmishing as you can get for 1XN, it's going to be nice. He's already almost on that 100. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, Nature's Grasp used. Encore going to be held on to here. 1XN pops the cleanse. There's TP coming down, though. That's going to be Ucal joining. Concussive Blow is going to be acted upon. One more hit. Ppgod gets flashed on by Ucal. And TT are off to the races. A double kill for Ucal. And he wants that triple. Add another one here for the man. It's not going to be fast enough. Starry's got the speed, but it's a 3-0 lead for TT.
Oh, it's still a huge win for TT, but Starry showcasing one of the highlights of the Infernal Rift, which is to pick up the little cinders and they give you that speed boost and some stacking cooldown reduction as well. TT, they get themselves a good amount of gold into this bot side with 1xN picking up some stacks as well, but more importantly now, Ucal is absolutely online. 3 kills on Ucal. Very, very powerful. Gets himself towards a huge mid-game spike now for TT. And OMG, we have said they are not a team that is that great from playing from behind. We have said that they need that snappy engage to play through Tianjin mostly. And Tianjin has had a very poor 5 minutes or so. I bet he's really wishing he didn't flash for that dragon. Now couldn't get himself to that last play. Still doesn't have flash for this Herald fight. And OMG, they don't have that arrow. They don't have the Seraphine ultimate. So they're going to have to probably see this one go away as well. I don't think they should be fighting this one without their ultimates.
Gonna walk up here. They still have a little bit of movement. The Rift Herald already going over the TT will mean they move out. And I don't know how I didn't see it before here, Nymeara. Beichuan has the dunk skin. We said who's gonna dunk on who. It's already 3-0 for TT. I think we have our answer.
True. It is the race to see who dunks who first. Both these teams very good for playing ahead of the game. And fights like
Gotta
this,
get those basketball skins in there. We gotta get more. Darius.
Yeah, true. Get all of them in there if we can. But Tianjin overextends. He goes in towards a big play. 1xN tanks it up with a cleanse. He doesn't have the flash from the earlier Dragon Steel. And it's a great teleport coming in from the other side for Ucal as well. He picks up a huge amount of value from this.
Feather blocked the Encore.
Yeah, Braum Shield will do that for you. They'll do
Massive.
That for you. It definitely helps. I think they probably would have died anyway. Could have probably thrown that out there, but still, nice to see a little microcosm of what can happen later into the game. So let's just take stock of where the current game is right now. The gold is fairly even. Angel got himself a first turret towards that bot side, which means that he is kind of within parity now. Ucal, you did get a lot of gold earlier. Big problem for me now, though, is the problem that gold will be lying to you. You have a Smolder who's not blown out of this game, has that Shojin, is very happy to keep stacking up here, keep wave clearing as well as the game goes on. Dragon's up in a minute. Because TT got that earlier Dragon, they can give this next one up. They're not giving up an early soul point, and sadly for Tianjin, if he had stolen that Dragon earlier, maybe TT would have been forced to fight to stop that early soul point going over as easily, but that's not the case. Now we are in this situation where 1xN is going to take up shop in this, set up shop in this mid lane and just try and wave clear for what he can, and particularly now he has that Shojin, he can keep doing that for forever, really.
Gonna be pretty active here as TT were hovering on bot side because that dragon is coming up for them as we were talking about it. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, we're gonna watch it fly. It's gonna land on the feather. Maybe they want to follow it up, but it is a Braum, so maybe not the best target. They do defend this outer turret in bot side, but they do lose one of their go buttons for this fight around Dragon if they're going to go.
Yeah, the go buttons haven't really been that well used from OMG so far. There was that one flash out of 1xN, but now he has his cleanse up as well, so even if you did have it for the fight, there's a chance that he could tank either that or the Mark Ult. Doesn't go south. TT, they're not even going towards the early Dragon in the spawn. They take the mid lane turret. Hoya even potentially going towards the dive, but they just want to get that turret first and foremost, and they'll get that for free.
They'll lose a lot of the health on the Rift Herald. Maybe that makes the charge a little bit more difficult on the next one. Also, little note, second item completed for Angel. You were talking about that item parity here. Angel is very strong with the rune hands, but he cannot get caught. And I just spoke about him. He does have the dash over the wall, makes it to safety, but now he maybe OMG overextended to try to reposition to save him. And now it's Ppgod getting caught out. They do have the rebuttal as a little bit more damage going back, but now they're caught in a rock in a hard place situation. Hoya is the front line. Look at Angel. Angel on the back. He's got the concussive blows, but he is able to get away. 1xN going forward. Oh no, you went too far, Tianjin. He's gone. And now Hoya, feeling like the hungry croc he is, will get his own double kill. TT 6-0 to start this one off. Are blanking OMG.
This matchup was always going to be about who got ahead first, who was going to dunk on the other team hardest in the first fights of the game. TT have been the ones to do that so far, and you can see that OMG, they're not really respecting the fact that they don't have as easy go buttons. They're walking up to enemy vision control, and they're playing very on the edge when they don't quite have the stats to do that.
You just
Angel
can't
burst
walk
out
there.
early, not in, and he can't walk there. He needs to have high HP to get himself that ability to fight back, and the follow-up damage from TT is really, really nasty if someone gets caught out. You don't even get to use the Seraphine ult here either, so Angel loses a lot of his HP. Does a good job of turning around some damage, but imagine if you'd done this from parity or done this while your Seraphine was alive with ultimate. It is a very different fight. The fact that a Smolder at this point in the game can be flashing forward for plays like that is a terrible sign for OMG. And this game has already gone way out of proportion for, and TT are very much in a comfort place now. They can slow this game down if they want to, but there's no obligation for them to do that either.
You're at 175 stacks almost for 1xn, getting close to that threshold already with the next couple skirmishes as well. OMG, they're going to try to keep up the tempo a little bit. They are just all around this Baron pit as it's going to spawn. There's no way they're doing this in 20 minutes. They're looking for a play on TT.
Look, okay, if you're sat in the OMG seats and you see, well,
Angel,
they got to do something.
Oh, he does have a lot of damage on the back end here. Ucal does have his team. Angel! Oh, man! It just can't happen like that if you want any success here for OMG. And I think we know who's getting dunked on.
Now, I think Angel has been sent back beyond the pearly gates a couple of times in this game already, sadly. First death of the game for him, but he's definitely not been in the safe spots. OMG wanted to force a play to make sure this game didn't fall apart anymore. Hoya's going to be stopped in it. Wait, no, he's not going to be stopped. But what?
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I cannot believe that just happened. They have a lot of poke damage to deal with coming into this one, but maybe a chance. Nature's Grass come through. Encore available, but it's TT just going for the throat. Mom has been called, and she's wide awake now. TT, front to back is the dream. Hoya gets cut down to size. It's still a 4-man stack by TT to push down mid. They did get pushed off the Baron, though, and OMG are going to get their first kill.
I think OMG will probably call that a win. They don't lose the Baron. It's a 1-for-1. That's okay. They'll call it a win from that perspective. However, this is still TT getting a load of stacks for 1xn. So you called this out earlier. The more fights that Smolder is kind of safely in, the better, because the more you get to stack. 200 stacks at 21 minutes, that's actually very good timing for the current item builds as it stands. Angel does see this up here, but, you know, like OMG, the reason they forced that play, the reason why Angel played as he did on top side, and, you know, it is a mistake, and you have to call it out there. He didn't judge the play correctly, but the mindset to make a play was correct. You need to make a play, otherwise this game is not getting any easier. You are going to get outscaled by a Smolder at this kind of gold point. You don't have an Ashe that's 2,000 gold ahead. It is an even well-stacking Smolder, which is going to be an absolute pain later into the game. OMG do need to make plays, and they probably need to make them sooner rather than later. And
in this meta with these double marks, I mean, you need gold. You need to be at item parities because both teams are going to have a lot of firepower. And we've seen things fall a little bit on the wayside. OMG, though, 5-man stack and top. Let's see if they make a play onto this outer turret, try to pick up some of this standing gold here. Looks like TT are not going to call the other two up this way. They're going to try to push this tier 2 in mid, and they have Demolish proc here too.
Yeah, teleport coming down into mid. That could be dangerous, actually. I was wondering whether Hoya would look for an empowered stun. Angel turning some damage around. There's no Mikhails here, but there is a cleanse.
He does cleanse, but Nature's Grass is coming. The roots have come to find you, 1xn, and no flap, flap, flap is going to save you. Angel gums him down.
So, Redemption coming through to get a bit of healing too, so OMG can make their way out. Now, that isn't going to be a kill in timer for a Dragon, but it might be in time to do something around the Baron. OMG, they're starting to lean towards it. I don't know whether they can rush it really, though. In TT, they will probably just try and wave claim.
Yeah, honestly, OMG, they're going to go for the mid wave first here, try to get that push in. They are just going to start this one up. Big importance, 1xn is going to hit the threshold the next time he hits one person with an ability. TT are going to have to fight before that, though, as they move in to try to deny this Baron. They need to hit the go buttons. They need to find some way. As they are pushing OMG out, Tianjin is by himself in the pit right now, but here comes the fight back from OMG. TT might have bitten off more than they could chew. Watch Ucal, though. He's got so much damage. He's gunning down Tianjin. Look, going in, though. It's OMG. They've overextended. Maybe it's just overextension enough feather. It's blocking up so much, and Hoya, he's a monster! A double kill came across for Ucal and TT. No matter what you throw at them, OMG, they will be your nightmare!
Feather, you could call him whatever the hell you want in terms of his ability on this Braum to be the engaged champion, but on the defense, this champion is absolutely busted, and TT hold the door shut. TT win themselves the fight in the 4v5, and they get themselves that Baron.
What a play for TT. My goodness. I love it because we set up, you know, the main talking point was going to be this mid lane. The tent poles, Angel, a newer addition to OMG, but also maybe the most recent star. A big reason why they found a lot of success, a lot of their recent wins coming off that prio in mid lane. Ucal is literally the guy for TT. He has been for over 2 years. The guy has been through all the bad times, and now finally the team rising up around him, and he's 0 on this pick on Lucian in mid.
No, this year for Ucal has been... It's been poor, I think, compared to 2023. 23, I would have called Ucal a top 5 mid laner in the LPL, and that is a genuine thing. Incredibly high highs from him. This year, he has really struggled to match up to them, particularly in the start of summer, his group stage. When he's playing towards stuff like the Corki, really wasn't good enough. He is back online now. He's 8-0-2 here, and he's taking this game by the scruff of the neck. And TT, this is a squad, a composition, which will scale very well. They are ahead of the game. They have a Baron buff. They have themselves a Soul Point. This is about as tutorial as it gets from this point as they start pushing in for more gold.
And they have the Ivern to back it up. He's on 3 items. Black Cleaver completed. Mikhail's there for Beichuan. Everything lining up for TT 25 minutes in. They still have so long on this Baron buff. Their siege might not be the strongest, but luckily they got an extra body to throw in there, as Daisy will be sacrificed here for a lot of her health. As the siege will continue. They actually are trying to move Hoya into a lane. He's going to keep TP available for himself as well.
Yeah, TT very, very hard. They have themselves a Mikhail if they want it as well.
They got Feather, though.
Right now.
Oh, my God. Feather's getting so much worth out of that. And here comes the Encore. Maybe it's enough damage to get Feather down, but Hery is also taking a brunt. Starry! Oh, my God! TT! They just eviscerated all of OMG right under their turret, and that is absolutely disgusting! As TT open up with a bang in game number 1. They know that they had OMG's number in the regular, and now it's all about that place at 10th seed here as they open up this best of 5 1-0.
Oh, there's a crack at Thunder. As TT show that they can't just only do the Thunder Talk, but they can do the Thunder Walk as well. First game, dominant for them. Scaling composition, which got ahead early. And OMG, I'm worried for them. If this is the way that their early games are going to go against TT, much like we saw in that best of 3, this is not going to be the result which they wanted. Yes, they are the first seed coming out of Group Nirvana, but TT were the team to beat them in that stage. The only team to take a full blast off out of them. TT, they looked very, very comfortable as soon as they got any semblance of a lead.
It's something to be said that it also was the fact that we're getting the Ivern. Like, we're getting a little bit of adaptation to the draft, too. What is that answer going to be? And we have to see OMGs on the other side of this break. We'll be right back for Game 2.